First of all, thank you also for this invitation. And I really hope and wish that it will contribute to a resilient recovery of the hardly hit area and communities, and according to their expectations, because this is important, very important. I will start with the issue of social, political, and ethical aspects in disaster management. And if I have time, I can proceed with the other topics you raise as organizers. So, with respect to disasters and disaster management, there are four major queries. The first is, who is mostly affected by the disasters? The second is, who, what, which groups, let's say, or which systems should deserve protection, safety, recovery, and rescue by first priority. The third is, who should assume the responsibility of disaster risk management and enforcing safety regulations? And the fourth is, who should undertake the costs of disaster risk reduction? All these queries involve important ethical, political, and social dilemmas. And I will start with the first query. Especially after 1945, disasters have been considered as an endemic feature of the global South, where poverty, illiteracy, and technological backwardness prevailed. The West, by contrast, was largely believed to be protected from the disasters by the high levels of economic and technological development. In affluent societies, higher living standards allowed for better quality housing, for a wide spectrum of opportunities for evacuation and sheltering, and for the presence of the insurance sector to cover the costs of reconstruction and recovery. In other words, resilience standards, resilience levels seem to be higher. However, things are more complicated, more complex. It may be the case that mortality and losses as a percentage of gross domestic product is higher in less developed countries, but on the other hand, the absolute economic value of losses in developed countries may be the case that are much higher. And this is because of the high cost of the potentially damaged infrastructure, and also because of the high levels of systemic risks owing to extensive and dense technological and also financial interconnections. And I'm moving to the second query. Who should deserve protection and safety by first priority? Of course, human life is the absolute priority, but think, for instance, in the case of firefighters who attempt to suppress forest fires. What do they have to rescue first? Housing properties in the forests, even in cases where these are illegal building developments, or the forest ecosystems, which are critical for climate change mitigation, and also for the improvement of microclimate, and hence for public health? And to refer to another example, think about the case of a big earthquake disaster. What does the respective government should priority on after the disaster? Reconstruction of housing buildings or rehabilitation of jobs and the local economy? And I can tell you for sure that the answers to these questions vary significantly between societies, between one society and another. And I would like to proceed to the third query, which addresses the dilemma of responsibility for disaster risk mitigation and protection. Is it a duty, a mission of public institutions, or it is a mission, it is a duty, it is a personal responsibility matter? And to proceed with this line of thought, to what extent should a society entrust its safety to the insurance market, to the insurance sector? Again, the answers to these questions vary between one society and another. For instance, in the case of more liberal societies, there is a transference of safety matters and of responsibility for disaster protection to the citizens by probably exaggerating the role of personal resilience. On the other hand, the societies viewing safety and disaster protection as a common good and as a basic right for all entrust disaster risk management to competent public institutions. And there is one more query and critical dilemma for hazard-prone societies, actually for the whole world. And this dilemma it is about to choose between prevention and preparedness on the one hand, and robust emergency mechanisms on the other, to intervene only in cases of actual disasters, only when the disaster occurs. And I can tell you that risky societies, like, to my view, our Greek society, opts for the second case, that is, for robust emergency mechanism. However, these societies should be ready to confront, to face frequent and very destructive mega disasters. To my view, the answers to these queries are possible only by means of disaster risk governance processes, which means an intense, long-term public dialogue involving everyone from the political leadership, administrative officials, civil society organizations, everybody.
Is that happening?
Pardon?
Is that happening?
You know that it is not, only in exceptional cases, and in cases of probably local societies, localities, but exceptionally.
Right.
So disaster risk governance processes, which means communication with the public and stakeholders about everything, about the hazards and risks that bedevil the specific society, their prioritization, which is more important. For instance, earthquakes, earthquake disasters, forest fires, of course, according to the historical data, identification and evaluation of these risks, assessment and management. But all of this by means of risk governance processes. So I don't know if I have,
We'll cut it there, I think.
yeah. Okay, then I can close here.